This man deserves credit for writing honestly about how appealing China was on the Mao, but though the tone of his political observation seems right, life and growth has nonetheless burst forth in China over the past decade. The chief mystery about reformist China and the most frightening uncertainty is in future is how an ideological joint communism party has produced one of the century's greatest economic miracles. If the party exploded, where the miracle go bound to? The Communist Party's 14th Congress held in Beijing in mid-October is not a hopeful place to begin. On the surface, the news was pretty good. Jiang Zemin, the party general secretary, whipped through a 2-hour keynote speech that confirmed the good intentions telegraphed over the previous 9 months by Deng Xiaoping visit to southern China in January and his subsequent campaign to entrench economic reform. Around half the members of the party's Central Committee was kicked off, be replaced by somewhat younger people, more technocratic and more representative of provincial interests. The Politburo too was spun up, though in a way that reflects a careful compromise between conservatism and reformist. The body that really matters. The standing committee of the Bureau Group were given more reformist cast. 2 rock-ribbed aides were sent packing. They are ailing of Chang Yun, an 87-year-old conservative and the only man who can come close to rival Ms. Deng for influence in the party. Ms. Zhang stayed in place and did Li Peng, the conservative prime minister and the presumed architect of the Tiananmen Square killing in 1981. Li Ruihuan, an economic reformist from the coastal city of Tianjin, and Qiao Shi, an organization and a public security man who sought to back economic reform. It came Hu Jintao, formerly in charge of Tibet, Liu Huaqing, a former admirer with 62 years of military service under his belt, the most conspiracy of all, Zhu Rongji, Shanghai's former mayor, Western program and a somewhat thuggish reformist who has been given super authority over economic policy. Policymaking will be affected by these personal shifts, but before long they will be overshadowed by the implications of tailoring scenes that was played out on the last day of the Congress. The tiny Miss Deng, 88, guided by his daughter, worked stiffly through the great hall of the people, waving occasionally to the pouring delegates. He handshake badly. He may be dead by the time you read this. Politicals at the pinnacle of China's Communist Party is a cruel affair, conspirational and parallel, though at least the Chinese have never been good in the Soviet habit of killing those who fall from favor. Top-level politics is also, like much less in China, intensely personal and lawless, which make it unstable. Ms. Deng, still the most powerful man in China, has 2 official positions. He is the honorary chairman of the Song Qing-ling Foundation and the most honorable president Bridge Association. He is an athletic bridge player. Power in China does not flow from office but from personal prestiges and connections. Mr. Stanley and his connections are incomparable, especially thanks to his experience in 1930s and 1940s as a field commander in the revolution he tasked with the enemy. Mr. Deng has been trying for a decade to arrange a political sanction that will stick. Hu Yaobang, his first unnoted, failed in 1987 after failing to control pro-democratic demonstrations. The second, Zhao Ziyang, was ousted in the shambles of Tiananmen Square in 1989. Ms. Deng has said Ms. Zhang is the core of the third generation, a collective leadership that will presumably also include a prominent place for Ms. Zhu. The third generation, especially its core, is unlikely to last longer after Deng died. It is far-fetched to think that Ms. Zhang, sometimes described as a sufferer for his political and intellectual lightness, has the respect of the army. Ms. Zhu, for his part, had earned plenty of enemies with his bluntness. Powerful Mao designated its successor Hua Guofeng later, only 2 years after the great helmsman passed away in 1976. Ms. Deng's death will probably set off a power struggle as big and vigorous as the one that took place then. That needs not, however, mean the disintegrations of the Communist Party, or even most disruption for it. Yang Huai, formal and official in the organization department of the Central Committee and known with a research institute in Singapore, has written a detailed inside account of the organization of political power in China. He describes a system characterized by turnover and job insecurity at the top, with swift and violent changes in political atmosphere, but also considerable stability and constitution of the organization down below. There's no doubt about the hazard of life at the top. During the 43 years of communist rule, on average, half of the members of each Blue Standard Committee has been deposed for mistakes they have made. When the change happened, they came like a thunderclap. The hours of the gun of fall after Mao's days of Hua Guofeng, Hu Yaobang, and the most recently of Zhao Ziyang and Hu Qili's following Tiananmen Square, all swept after. Once a coup is executed, moreover, it is back to business as usual for the governing apparatus. That happens because the party has been so effectively at extending its tactical in every part of Chinese life and rewarding its agenda in the party itself, in the government and in army. The Chinese Communist Party has 50 million members. The state bureaucracy, 30 million employees. The party keeps control through a highly centralized and intrusive system of supervision that stretches from Beijing to smallest and most remote townships that penetrates the organs of party and government, barracks and factories, schools and neighborhoods. The party, Ms. Yan wrote, an omnipresent, omniscient, crisscrossed, interwoven force control the entire system of political organization. The loyalty of government employees is assumed not just by the party watchful eye, but also by a centralized system of ranking, procedures and controls that closely followed, indeed improved upon, the 2,000-years-old methods of Chinese imperial bureaucracy. Even religious order has been absorbed. The Buddhism abhorred is ranked at the department level, and the Buddhist monk is ranked at the section level. The loyalty of army force officials, conservative types always and accustomed since long march days to obeying the party order, is further guaranteed by material pinks and growing military budgets. The loyalty of the ordinary soldiers is not a problem. They are peasants and not pro to fight foot, and the loyalty of the ordinary citizens in the countryside is not an issue. Well-fed peasants and uninterested in politics. In the cities, the party does not expect loyalty. They want its obedience, which the unit system of household resignations, records, and personnel files can fairly deliver. It sounds just like the system that splitted and disintegrated in the Soviet Union last year, only even more territorial. But there are 4 critical differences between Mikhail Gorbachev, Soviet Union, and Ms. Deng's China. First, The latest is the Soviet Union was a crucial economic failure and China has been a crucial economic success. It is rare, if not unheard of it, for a government that has raised living standards as spectacularly as China has simply to collapse. Such a government might be unpopular and might be challenged, but it is a long way from the spontaneous explosion the Soviet government suffered on account of a complete failure to do its main job. Second, China is still three-quarters rural. By all accounts, the Communist Party is still fairly popular in the countryside. Certainly, it does not all right at representing rural interests, whether in smallish matters like the very aid after floods in the summer of 1991 or the huge matters of rural community reforms. There are no alternative power centers. Remember that the Soviet Union collapsed only after 6 years of glory had spawned debate. Some redeemable Democrat and Boris Yeltsin. There has been none of that in China. Students, demonstrators, intellectuals, even trade unions can offer only protest, not an organized alternative to the Communist Party. One Shanghai journalist jailed for 6 months after Tiananmen Square said the latter alternative to communist rulers in China is not democracy. However much some people desire it, none of the social or institutional preparations has been made for it. If the Communist Party go, it will be replaced by army, the secret police, or warlords. 4. Keeping power is the only issue for the party. The ideological element of communism in China has vanished. Western's reaction to the Soviet collapse in 1991 was to speed up reform. The logic was the party's only claim to legitimacy was to deliver the economy goods. If it did so, it would keep power. If not, it could not. This may be an underlying views of society and government, but at least it means that the party at every level is intent on doing whatever is needed to ensure that the economy keeps on going.